Hello, our viewers. Good afternoon. My name is Mabel, your host. Welcome to Conversations with Opal. This is our second session, and we have a guest with us today. He's going to be telling us about his life back home in Uganda and his life here in the UK. Please welcome to the show today. Introduce yourself to the viewers.
Thank you very much. My names are Mr. John Clement Otalo. I'm a member of Opal, African LGBT, a gay man from Uganda.
Thank you for being with us. Thank you for coming out to share your story with our listeners and our viewers. So I'll go with John Clement. Our listeners, we're going to be hearing from John Clement. He's going to be telling us about his life, about himself. First, please, John, tell us about your life in Uganda.
My life in Uganda, I grew up in a family of 7 children. My parents were Catholics, and I grew up as a Catholic. I joined my school at early age, from the year of 7 onwards, from primary 1, primary 7. When I finished my primary 1 up to 7, I finished my primary 7. I joined my senior 1, that's O level, in a Catholic seminary based in Moroto, Uganda, Northern Region. So I joined in the seminary because of my aspiration. I aimed at becoming a Catholic priest. My aim was to become one to preach in the church, and having been inspired by what I was seeing from one of my cousins who had already been in the seminary before, so I became more motivated and inspired also to join the seminary. So when I joined the seminary, my life was very good. I did everything as I was expected, and we had the life there was based much more on studies, prayer, and work. Those are the 3 basic starting points that we had to do.
Thank you, John Clement. Yes, John Clement, when you were joining the seminary, were you attracted to anyone?
I was not attracted to anyone.
Okay.
But there are boys in my community who also attracted me to girls. And of course, it was a challenge in the sense that because when you join the seminary, they expect you not to associate with girls. And that was the major component of it, the rule. So as much as I had those normal feelings like any other child, another adolescent boy, I was not really attracted to girls because it was a rule you are not supposed to be attracted to girls. But we lived in the seminary. We lived our life as boy to boy, and our relationship grew up in the seminary as boy to boy. So we did everything not to do with girls.
Yes, you were in the seminary. Tell us about your attractions or relationships.
While I was in the seminary, that was senior 1 and 2, which according to the seminary buildings, they are separate from senior 3 to 4. So we lived independent life, senior 1, senior 2, we lived independent life, and the other group lived independent life. So when I was in senior 1, senior 2, I finished my senior 1 and then I went to senior 2. I had one of my boys whom I was attracted to. It's called Stephen Luntu. Was
he your friend? Were you close?
Yes, he was one of my best friends when I was with him. And he was in senior 1, I was in senior 2.
Okay. Did you tell him how you felt?
At that particular time, I didn't tell him, or like you tell a girl that I'm attracted to you because of this purpose. Because being a boy to boy, it was not something that crossed me to tell him, oh, I love you, I like you. But of course, the relationship that was in between was really very strong in the sense that we had a lot of a good time being related to each other, like sharing most of our feelings and so on, or whatever we wanted to do.
Well, in other words, he was not aware of what you felt for him.
Maybe he could have been aware, but I didn't tell him.
Okay. So what happened? What did you do about it? Did you ever tell him, or did you just leave it like that?
I just left it like that because he didn't continue with us because, he left the seminary.
Okay. So other than Lontu, did you have any other relationships?
Yes.
Were these people aware, or are you still in touch with them?
Yes. When I reached senior 3, senior 4, I had another friend of mine who was really a very, very good friend of mine. It's called Peter Kasoli.
Was he also in the seminary?
Yeah, he was in the seminary, but he was in the upper stage.
So what was your relationship like?
My relationship with Peter Kasoli was very, very good, I would say.
Okay.
Because he was there most of the time for me. When I needed him, whatever I wanted, he was there. Okay. Until when I finished my O-level, I went the stage that he was before. He had already left Uganda, because when you finish the first stage in Uganda, that's what we call it in the Catholic novitiate. Novitiate, yeah, a novice. The second stage is in Kenya, Nairobi. So Kenya, Nairobi is where you do 2 stages. So Kasoli had already gone to Nairobi.
Did you stay in touch with him? Did you stay in touch with Peter after he went to Kenya?
Yeah, that time there was nothing much like maybe you are making a phone call or writing letters. Yeah, but I knew whenever I could see because every time they used to send people for pastoral work. So every year they would send a group of people from Nairobi back to the seminary to come and teach or do some other pastoral activities. So at least I knew somebody would tell me about him, or I would know about him. So which means I was able to know what was going on about him. And he knew also what was going on about me.
So when did you find out about your sexuality?
Yeah, I got to know that I was attracted to the same sex in the sense that while you are in the seminary, we are given their state of rules that we live in that context. And then there are also priests who are your superiors. And the way some of these priests used to take us showed something that, there was something that implies or a connection between him and you. So we had most of these priests were from Italy, some from Germany. Yeah. And from there, I started having those kind of feelings.
Well, Clement, tell us more about, because we hear there's all this sexuality going on, sexual pervertness going on now in especially the Catholic Church, where the head priests, say the rectors, they take advantage of these young boys who come into the seminaries. They have them do sexual acts on them and so on and so forth. Did any such scenarios happen while you were still in the seminar?
Yes, I would agree with you, my host, that such scenarios happened when I was still in the seminary. I'm not going to mention the name of my experience, but my experience is that I have encountered such atmospheres whereby some particular priests would invite you to their parish. And that was the time I was in Nairobi already, because I had already left now Uganda. So they would invite you to their parish. And for you as a young person, you don't know much. So this priest would pat you on the butt or the bums, He would give you a peck. He would give you want to kiss you. But because I'm still young at that time, I would think, maybe he's doing it just because he likes me.
You will not define it to anything.
Yeah, I was not able to define it as, okay, this is a sexual thing. Yeah. So for you think, I used to think, this priest really likes me. Besides that, he would give you presents, money, clothes, shoes, good shoes, all those kind of things. So for you look at that, just say, yes,
I'm liked.
Yeah, I'm liked.
Yes, John Clement. Now looking back, how do you feel about you being a young boy and being in such a position?
Yes, when I look back at my age at that time when I was young and I was going through such experiences, and of course it was not only me, there were other boys who were also going through. So it's until that when I came in this country, I started looking back, realizing, oh, these acts were not really moral, they are not good. It does have an impact, because when I look back in my life, I say, if I knew that this was what was happening, maybe I would come up and talk about it. Yeah, but I didn't talk about it. And besides, remember, if you came out and you talk about it in the seminary, you're gone. That's the end of the day. You go. That my dreams were shattered because we were doing things. I was doing things with my friend when I had reached Nairobi, because that's when again I met up. Kasoli, I was in philosophy, he was in theology. So for him, he was on his final year. Me, I was starting. So during the time when they sent me for my pastoral work, so I had to choose, because they ask you choose where you want to go. So I had to choose to the parish where Peter was.
Okay.
So what happens is that they reported us back to Nairobi to our superiors. And my superior he was called John Masawe anyway. So when they reported us, so we were called back to Nairobi. I and Peter were called back to Nairobi to explain the circumstances that were behaving. For Peter was not a big problem because he was already a priest by then. Me, I had finished my philosophy 3, so I was still a junior in the service, and I was supposed to do my pastoral work for 1 year. So for him, it was easy. There was nowhere they were going to take him. So I met this spirit of mine. We sat in the office. I remember it very well. He didn't give me a chance to explain myself, what happened, why this happened. He just told me straight away, people like you are supposed to go back home. Yeah, because you are disgrace to the what? The community. That's their community. Apostles of Jesus community. So, well, I couldn't explain anything. So I had to go.
So, tell us more. What exactly did these people who reported you see?
Because what they saw is that we left the parish that Friday evening in the car. We went back to my hometown, Mbale, 2 of us. So because Peter would not explain to anybody, because he was the leader of that parish. So he had no chance to explain to anybody where he was going and what he was going to do. So he told me we go. We went. We stayed in my home. Actually, I stayed in my house, my room with Peter for Saturday, Friday evening, Saturday, Sunday. We now go back to Nairobi to explain where we were, what were we doing. So this man, this general superior, for him in his mind was that we were doing evil or immoral things. So, oh, you people, you are out there, you just enjoying yourself, not explaining what type of enjoyment we are going through. You understand? Yeah. So that was the time I was sent out of the seminary. Yeah.
So what happened after that?
No, it was not easy for me. My life started being in a mess everywhere.
So when you came back home to Uganda, what did you tell your family why you had left the seminary?
When I came back home in Uganda, because I couldn't tell my family that I had left the seminary, because they didn't give me any formal expulsion letter. So I had to wait until they give me any formal expulsion letter.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, when I went back home, I was still more linked to my parish. That's where the parish was in the. So I was continue doing my own activities as I used to do before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I believe our listeners and our viewers would like to know what happened between you and Peter after that.
Yes, what happened between me and Peter? Peter, luckily enough, he had a chance. He went to the States. But before he went to the States, because he was already a priest, remember, so he got a chance to go to the United States, that is in Maryland. California, Maryland. He was there. So when he went to the States, but I remember before he went to the States, we sat together and they asked me what I wanted to do. So I told him, okay, at the moment, I don't see anything much, but maybe I go back to study. So he told me, okay, if I had a way of connecting you to my friends in UK, would you be able to go to UK? Of course, I could not say no to that. Yeah. So he made some arrangements with some friends of his here. So 2003, he got me a visa, and I came in this country. So it was Peter who initiated me because he knew I would not manage life in those circumstances, because where was I going to start?
Yeah. So are you still in touch with Peter?
No, Peter, sorry to say, he doesn't live anymore. He's no longer, he's dead. He died in 2014 in the USA.
What a pity.
No,
Sorry.
His death was, according to what I hear and I read, because it was in the news, by the way, very much, the news. His death was something that the congregation doesn't want to explain up to date, because there was a controversy over his body when they brought back the body in Africa, Uganda. They buried the body, they exhumed the body, and so it went on until they went to court, all that. The family wanted to know, how did he die? Because how can you say he died mysteriously? But most probably, maybe when he was in the USA, because Peter himself used to say, he had become a chaplain for the army.
Well, so tell us, Clement, you've been in the UK, you've gone to college. So how did you come out as a gay man?
When I came in this country, I was basically hanging out with most of my people from my Uganda, who knew me very well. And these people, as much as somebody want to talk about being gay, or for them it was something not within their topics. So it was, for them it was they would see it in a different way. So I remember one day I talked to somebody, my best friend, about the issue of gay. He didn't like it, and up to today we are no friends anyway because of that incident. So it happened that on this day when we had an outing, barbecue, that's when I counted some of these young fellows whom I didn't know much about them, but I could hear them because I could hear them talking, and the barbecue was organized in our yard. So I was moving up, and I could hear them talking about. I opened up to them, and I talked to them. I say, how do I join this group? So they helped me. One of them helped me, introduced me to the group. And when he introduced me to the group, that's the time I started being open. I opened up. So I didn't live in the closet like before anymore. So I opened up. So he invited me to go out with him, and we went to Soho West End, to the groups where he had been going to socialize. And when I reached there, I found out some people whom I knew, and that was a really good moment for me to show that I can be who I am.
We've had, your life from Uganda and your life here, and how you came up as a gay man to be able to live openly, and we're glad to have you as a member of Out and Proud. Now tell us, do you still, because you had to leave the seminary before you were ordained, do you still aspire to go back to the same?
No, at the moment, I don't look at myself as aspiring to become a priest, because that chance is gone.
Okay. Are you seeing someone now?
At the moment, I don't have any particular person I'm seeing.
Well, our listeners and our viewers, we've heard from John Clement. He's told us about his life from back home in Uganda to how he's living his life here in the UK. Do you have a message you would like to send or to share with people who are going to be watching this video and listening to this podcast?
First of all, the message I would send to people who are going to watch this podcast. Back home, people live in a situation whereby there's a lot of fear of coming out to be who you are. Because the institutions that have been put up, they don't recommend somebody to talk about his or her own sexuality.
Well, we've heard from John Clement, who was once aspiring to be a minister, a church minister, a priest, and well, that had to go down the window. And he's been here in the UK. He's living his life. He's open about his sexuality, and he's living his life to the fullest. Well, I would like to thank you, our viewers, for being with us. Please share, like. These stories are being aired and podcasted to create an awareness to everyone there who is living in hiding. You need to embrace yourselves. Embrace yourselves. Be careful, depending on the country you're in. But you need to embrace who you are and stop being ashamed of what you are, because that's how you were born. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more.